Well, India have started off with a thumping victory. Their ODI campaign, it couldn't have got off to a better start, right? Against England, India, of course, lost the first test match against England. They bounced back and won the series 3-1. They've lost the first game of the T20I series against England. Then they bounced back to win the series 3-2. Virat Kohli, of course, he wanted to start off on a high and he wanted his team to, assert themselves early on. There's so much that happened in this first ODI. But before we get to Boria Majumdar to analyze this awesome ODI in Pune, here's a quick look at why you should download the Hauser app.
क्या आप भी किसी अपने सपने मेरे तुम्हारे टीम 11 पे टीम बना रहे हो और बच्चों के साथ खेल रहे हो? हमारे साथ खेलोगे? हाउसर पे खेलो लेजेंड्स के साथ. हमें हराओ और जीतो डबल कैश. Log on to houser.com and win real cash.
Well, it was high quality cricket, wasn't it? India, of course, after they were asked to bat, Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan got the team off to a solid start before Rohit perished for 28. Of course, there are also a couple of injury concerns around Shreyas Iyer and Rohit Sharma. We'll come to that later. But first, for the happy part, Shikhar Dhawan's 98 and sterling performances from the debutants, it sort of sealed a great victory for India. And also the fact that KL Rahul is back in form, of course, some runs from Virat Kohli as well. There's Boria Majumdar. Boria, happy? The fact that India have, of course, started off with a victory finally in the first game of the series. Before we come to
makes me nervous.
You're nervous, are you?
Yeah, because now they've won the first game. What will happen to game 2 and 3? That is why I'm nervous. Otherwise, I said 2-1. I'm still holding on to 2-1. But the fact that they won the first game of the series is actually making me a tad nervous because I've gotten superstitious.
but Boria, sum this day up for us because Shikhar Dhawan coming back to form, KL Rahul. You think that was a great move because Rishabh Pant is more or less confident. He's assured of his place across formats. Of course, he hasn't played ODIs since Jan 2020. KL Rahul, some poor scores in the T20Is left out in the final game. Good intent, good statement that from the Indian team management right up, right? That we're backing our key players, Shikhar Dhawan and KL Rahul both.
Absolutely. And it also tells you that, you cannot mix formats. You cannot say that Shikhar Dhawan is perhaps not the greatest striker in the T20 format, means he will have to be left out in the ODI format. You can't say that. And that is what was proved by Shikhar. At one point, he had a strike rate of some 70. It finished off with a strike rate of 100. With KL, what an innings that was. I think 6 out of 12 or 13, and then finishing off with a strike rate of 130. So it was incredible. And it tells you the abundance of riches. In fact, now, from what I hear, Shreyas might be out of the series and Rohit might just not play the two games, and it'll mean that Surya comes in again. Will you regret it? We'll regret the injuries for sure, but are we going to say, all hell will break loose? No, we won't. That is the kind of talent that the men's team now has. So it is quite unbelievable, the kind of bench strength we have been able to create. The night is equally important, Rajarshi, because the women's team, we've thrashed South Africa finally. Shafali Verma coming good, 60 not out, 60 out of 30 odd balls. Smriti Mandhana not out. It's a 9-wicket resounding victory. Rajeshwari Gaikwad set it up. So the men and the women, both teams doing superbly well, contrasting victories, and terrific for Indian cricket.
Absolutely. Great day for Indian cricket. Like Boria mentioned, Shafali, the fact that she's also reclaimed her number 1 position, Boria, in the T20I rankings for batters.
And how old is she? 17. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. Unbelievable, unreal. And Rajeshwari Gaikwad, like you mentioned, figures of 3 for 9. That was quite a night for Indian cricket. But of course, also, talking of Shikhar Dhawan, Boria, what sort of mindset would he have come to the ODI series with? Because he was being touted as a third opener in T20Is and suddenly sees a young Ishan Kishan. In fact, we discussed that on Sports Today. What his mindset would be like, and he comes in and just shows you the template to ODI batting, and just absolutely, unfortunately, couldn't get to his 100. But what a remarkable turnaround for this guy as well.
Yeah, and you've got to. That's why quality matters, and the way he paced his innings, the way he set it up, the way he executed it was tremendous to see. It was actually tremendous to see, Rajoshi, and that's what sport is all about. That's what good sport is all about. And Shikhar Dhawan is a quality act. He once again showed that. I mean, the Indian team management has reposed faith in him. He has delivered. He has stood up and delivered to that faith. As I said, I'm quite thrilled the way 10 overs 100 runs you have conceded. After that, to come back and constantly plug away with wickets against one of the best batting orders of all time in the world. They're the world champion team, by the way. Tremendous. Shikhar Dhawan, KL Rahul, Krunal Pandya. Think of that innings by Krunal Pandya. KL was not looking good. He was uncertain. Shreyas out, Virat out, Hardik out. And at that point, a debutant comes at those 3 boundaries of Sam Curran. That set it up. That set up the game for us. Tremendous to see. Tremendous to see. And as I said, brilliant. I mean, I'm very, very pleased at the way India has gone about it.
And we've discussed this aspect as well. But Boria, it can't be a coincidence, right? Within a matter of 10 days, you've had 3 Mumbai Indians cricketers. Ishan Kishan scores a 50 on debut. Surya scores a 50 in his maiden innings for India. And then Krunal Pandya comes in and just, takes on the world champions. And like you said, he sort of eased it off for KL Rahul. It's just the gift that keeps giving to Indian cricket. And this is great to see. Michael Vaughan can say what he likes, but that is why the IPL is such a great tournament, right? Because it sort of keeps prepares players. And Prasadh Krishna, also, by the way, the best figures for an Indian on debut, bowling figures. And he did say that the IPL has helped him. I mean, look at the context of the game. The 40th or 41st over when Krunal and Lokesh Rahul got together, India got about 112 runs from there on. And then again, 135 for no loss in the 14th over. Prasadh Krishna gets hammered. Krunal Pandya gets hammered in his first 3 overs, and they just keep bouncing back. It's incredible to see that.
Absolutely. I mean, when Bairstow and Roy were going, England was 100 of 10, 30, 15, 135 of 15. Did anybody even think that India will come back and wrap them up and win by 60 odd runs? I mean, basically, you got them all out for 130. You have got England all out with this batting attack for 130. That tells you the kind of self-belief, the kind of confidence this team has. Phenomenal, Rajoshi. Phenomenal. I mean, you've got to give credit where due. I will have to say this. This team is showing the kind of self-belief which you will not see across teams, across eras. They can come back from any point in time. The captain is showing intensity, batted beautifully before he got out today. So it's tremendous. The bench strength. I mean, Rohit Sharma injured. Otherwise, you would think the world's greatest batsman gone. You have a Shubman Gill coming up. Shreyas Iyer playing so well. You have a Surya Kumar Yadav coming up. Prasidh Krishna, you play. That fellow comes and picks 4 wickets. Shardul Thakur picks up 3 wickets again. Every match, Shardul Thakur picks up critical wickets, gets very, very important wickets, gets batsmen out. So think about the depth that this team is showing, and it is unbelievable. Unbelievable in every sense of the term. I mean, I don't want to push this, but all I will say is this is one of the best eras, best times, best months for Indian cricket that I have seen in my 30 years, 35 years of cricket watching.
No, absolutely. You have summed that up previously as well. And going by the evidence of the last 4 or 5 months, for sure, a lot of us will agree with you, Boria, there. But looking at this bowling attack, Prasidh Krishna on debut, Krunal Pandya on debut, Shardul Thakur not extremely experienced, Kuldeep Yadav making a comeback. How did you think Virat Kohli marshaled his resources? And the other aspect
brilliant.
Is, why not Hardik Pandya in the bowling attack? Is there something wrong that we don't know about?
No. There was nothing wrong. He just went with it. But think about it. The fact that he got Prasidh back after a first spell where he was seriously expensive. And thereafter Prasidh comes and picks those wickets. Tremendous to see. In every sense, as I said, I mean, it's brilliant. It is brilliant to see Prasidh Krishna, and then he got back Shardul Thakur. Then he sort of picked what amazing captaincy. I mean, you keep talking about Virat Kohli, the captain. He closed it. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar coming back, Shardul Thakur coming back. Look at his field positions. He kept attacking, and he closed England out because he knew it was not a run rate game. England had the run rate under control up to a point. It was about wickets. At the moment he started doing that and India started picking wickets, he gave his bowlers aggressive fields. Brilliant captaincy from Virat Kohli.
And it is. You made some good points, Boria, here. But you also look at the Indian team, right? They're world champions. They got off to a brilliant start. Inside the first 10 overs, they had brought the required rate down to under 6. 135 in the 14th over, and then they implode. Look at the batting order, strike rates of over 100, and for those guys who don't have strike rates in the hundreds, it's the mid 90s, high 90s. What happened? Is this pressure cook? Is this the pressure cooker situation that they weren't faced with for so long, or just absolute intensity from the Indians?
I think it's in intensity for the Indians. I mean, I can't otherwise explain this. I mean, 100 for no loss, 135 for one, and then you get all out for 260 when you got till Sam Curran, you've got good batting. Stokes and Morgan and Billings and Ali and Curran, these are all very good batsmen. Otherwise, I can't explain this. I mean, this has to be Indian intensity and the kind of pressure the Indians have put on the English, and that is what has caused this. I will give credit to the Indian team because England started very well. The Johnny Bairstow wicket for me was the turning point. That was a poor shot. I mean, it was there to be hit and he got out at mid wicket. I think that is what was the turning point. But the Indian self-belief, Indian intensity, Indian ability to keep coming back is, I think, starting to hurt England mentally as well. They are starting to sort of mentally get challenged that this Indian side is too difficult to beat.
Absolutely, 3 successive defeats, and that's what happened in the Test series as well. 3 successive defeats there, defeats in the last 2 T20s, and this one-day game looking difficult for the England team to come back to winning ways against what they believe is a formidable Indian unit. But Boria, we'll of course go back to the Rohit Shreyas Iyer injury concerns, and like you said, they have good replacements. The young Shubman Gill, Surya Kumar Yadav, who could get an ODI debut if Shreyas is unfortunately not fit enough. But what will that do to the setup? You think this lineup will still be good enough to hold against England, because they did pretty well to contain Rohit and Shikhar in the first 15 to 20 overs. So that's still a pretty solid England bowling lineup that we are faced with.
Yes, I agree with you. At the same time, I just hope and pray that the injuries aren't serious. I think Shreyas Iyer will miss the rest of the series. One needs to see if he does miss a portion of the IPL also. If he does, then Rishabh Pant, I think, will be the captain of the Delhi Capitals. We've got to wait and see on that. But Rohit's injury, I don't think is serious. So this is, two ODIs if need be. Just give Rohit rest and get Shubman in. He's played the Test series. Yes, he did not play the start of the T20s, but then it doesn't really matter if you give him a couple of games of rest. As far as Shreyas is concerned, he was batting well. Important for him to come back and lead the Capitals because he plays white ball. He doesn't play Test cricket for India. For him, this is a very important period. But India does have replacements.
Absolutely, and with KL Rahul batting, back in form, could you probably, if Rohit does not get to play in the second ODI, do you see KL Rahul being moved up so that Rishabh Pant gets slotted in to make that?
No, I don't think so. I think they will continue with KL Rahul in the middle order because they've got him set there. I think Shubman Gill will come up. I think Shubman Gill will open with Shikhar Dhawan. It'll be the right-left combo. And I think Surya Kumar Yadav will replace Shreyas Iyer. And that's how it will be. So these are my 2 changes for the next game. I think Rishabh will sort of just wait on his turn. But Surya for Shreyas Iyer and Shubman Gill for Rohit Sharma. If the injuries are serious enough and they can't take the field 2 days from now.
Right. Boria, with lots of comments and lots of questions on the show as always. There's Shogota Chaudhary asking, wondering whether Kuldeep has become a serious concern for India. And he says, I think Ravi Ashwin must be given one last go in the shorter versions for India.
I don't they will go to Washington Sundar. Why to Ravi Ashwin? Because Virat's made this point that like for like, I mean, Washington Sundar is their white ball cricketer. And there's no reason why you will not agree with Washington Sundar. They've got Yuzvendra Chahal in the squad. They've got Washington Sundar in the squad. So why, I mean, on what basis will they overlook these guys when they are in the team? So you've got to be a little realistic. Yes, Kuldeep Yadav not in form, but how will you come back into form? You've got to get games. Couple of balls, he could have picked wickets. Ball turned, KL Rahul, almost, I mean, some seriously decent bowling and some long hops, some bad bowling. And that will happen when you've not gotten game time. So that's important that India gives Kuldeep Yadav game time and tries to sort of get him back into form.
Right, Boria, but it's a great victory, and I don't want to be I wouldn't want to be nitpicking on this, but we've spoken all about India's approach with the bat, and I was just going back in numbers, and you saw that it's become so high intensity, right? You talk of the best 3 or 4 batting lineups in world cricket today: India, New Zealand, Australia, England. You think that approach from Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma, and maybe the Indian approach till about the 35th, 36th, or maybe even till the 40th over, maybe that is a little conservative still and needs that much more momentum push. Luckily for India, KL Rahul and Krunal Pandya came good in those 10 overs, but are you going to get 115, 120 runs every now and then against such a formidable batting lineup like England's?
I think the approach was fine. So they believe that they can get 100 in the last 10. And if you see, they started with 4, then they went up to 5, and then all of a sudden the explosion came. If you get to 320, Rajarshi, that's a superb inning. So they believe in a particular pattern, and they've been able to deliver that particular pattern. So if we are being critical that they should have started up front, they kept wickets, and the wickets helped. I mean, even when 5 fell, Krunal and KL came and closed it out. So I thought it was a terrific effort. I mean, and England started on the other side. If you think about it, England kept going, and losing wickets, finished off 65 short. So that tells you the Indian approach was perhaps better. Rajesh, we've got to sort of close this show a little early today because television calling again. But I want to finish off with 2 things before you close it out. One, this Indian team has belief that I have not seen in any Indian teams. And my second point is about the women's game. Shafali Verma, will anybody in his right mind want to keep Shafali Verma out of the ODI team? If you still want to keep Shafali Verma out of the ODI team, then you must be completely mad. Because if she can play like this, you still want to keep her out of the ODI team. Great wins, but a lot of lessons to be learned for the men's team and the women's team. The men's team, the approach is super, mentally super. You've got replacements, everything going right. Captaincy of Virat Kohli, for God's sake, praise the man. And for the women, Shafali Verma, please, Smriti Bandhana, put a price on your wicket, like the way you batted tonight, and Shafali Verma, play her in the ODI format.
Right. Thank you, Boria, so for summing that up so nicely. I know you have to go to the India Today show as well now, but we'll close this on a very happy high note because it's been that kind of a day for Indian cricket, right? The men's team and the women's team. There'll be obviously plenty more. We'll be building up to the second ODI, and we'll of course bring you a lot more stats and analysis from this game. I'll be back at 10 in the morning. Then we'll be back with Boria, Pragyan, and Deep Dasgupta tomorrow evening to get you a roundup.
Pragyan has mild fever. One just hopes he doesn't have COVID.
No, all the best to him. Hopefully it's just stress and recovering from stress, and it'll be fine. He'll be fine to join us on Wednesday evening. But thank you so much, Boria. Thank you. I know you have to go to India Today. We'll join you back on Wednesday with all of that. But do not forget to download the House app, and do not forget to subscribe to India Today. Thank you. Have a good evening.